All right, so we're in here inside of Hoverboard, and we're looking at this campaign, and let's figure out what we would do to try to improve the visibility for this brand on the answer engine. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the prompts that we have. We can see we have a handful of prompts here that are currently being tracked. Looks like there's about 8 of them right now. Obviously, ideally, we want more prompts to track. I can always click add prompt here if I want to add additional prompts, and I can either add any prompt in manually, or I can paste in a set of prompts, or I can get suggestions. And so in this case, we see there's a handful of different intent types. There's comparison, best in category, use case, problem aware, brand criteria, and informational. And I can select or deselect any of these, but I can also add additional targeting. If I want to target on a specific geographic market, I can add that information here. If I want to specify and get more granular on the audience that I want to target, I can add that as well. I can add my primary use case, my known competitors, or I can just add any extra context for the model. In this case, I'm not going to put anything, but I could add that if I wanted to get more detailed prompts. Here, I'm just going to hit generate suggestions. We're going to get some suggested prompts that we may want to track that are going to ultimately help us target additional prompts or questions that are being asked of the answer engines. And I can just simply click on any one of these and it'll just add it into my list of tracked prompts. So I'm going to hit that, for example. I won't do anything else, but the other thing you'll notice is for any of these, I have an option to add these to my content ideas list. For any prompts that we want visibility for, we should have content on our website that answers that question. And so if we add something, we probably want to add content to our site in order to address that. If we have it already, great. If we don't, then maybe that's what I'm going to here use to add to my content ideas list, right? So if I hit this seems like a good prompt to track, and it would probably be a good article to write. So I'm going to hit add to my content ideas list for this one. And then I'm going to hit add as well. Outside of this, we can see there's the new prompts that I've tracked. There's no data on that just yet. But let's look and drill down at something specific that we want to improve. Now you'll see up here that I'm also able to filter by the answer engine. So if I really wanted to focus on ChatGPT, since that's hands down the most important answer engine right now in terms of what will actually send visitors, what will actually create more awareness for a brand and ultimately help drive more revenue, ChatGPT is the number one answer engine for that. But Gemini is quickly coming up, and a lot more people are using Gemini these days. Google has a big advantage in that they have their AI overviews when people use Google search. There's AI mode, which is also embedded now into the Google search application. So that is going to continue to climb. So these are the two models that really we want to focus on. But let's say we want to focus on ChatGPT, and we see, okay, here's a good one that I would want to be optimized for, want better visibility for if I'm this brand. This is a concierge doctor service, by the way. And so the prompt here is, what are the best concierge medicine practices in San Diego? We can see that we only have 14% visibility here on ChatGPT, 3 of 22 times that it was checked so far where it mentioned our brand, and that's not good enough. We want to do better than that. So let's go down into the sources tab here, and Hoverboard will identify the most common sources that are used by the models for all the prompts that we're tracking. And so let's choose that specific prompt. Was it this one? Can't remember what one it was now, but in any event, I can drill down to the prompt that I want to use. And then now we'll see the most common domains that are being cited by the models here. And if I switch over to URLs, I can see the exact URL that's most commonly cited. So we see this one right here, a personalphysician.com. This looks like it's a competitor's webpage, but we can learn from that. We can see that it's got low domain rating, so there's not a whole lot of domain authority for this website, yet it still has high visibility, which just goes to show you that the answer engines are not like Google. Google has much more of a focus on surfacing higher domain authority pages and domains in its search results. And with the answer engines, you don't necessarily need to have high domain rating, high domain authority in order to be recommended. But we can see that this particular page, for example, has been cited 38 times in the, we just started tracking this prompt, but it's been cited 38 times. If we look and see, here's another, well, this is UCSD, that's an EDU, but they also have a medical service here in San Diego. We can see that has a high domain rating of 90. That's a service page. You're not going to be able to get these kind of pages from, in terms of getting listed on these, especially when it's a competitor. But what you can do is we see, for example, if we filter these by listicles, we know the answer engines are heavily using listicles to help come up with the answers they provide users, but listicles are very powerful in terms of a way to help improve your visibility on the answer engines. And so we can see that here's some different listicles that are being commonly cited. And these are ones ideally that you'd want to get listed on. Now we have a domain rating filter in here so that you can at least question stuff that has a lower domain rating. So in this case, this is a 19. That's not very high, obviously, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't want to get a mention from this page or to be listed and included on this page. Let's look at this page. I think anytime you get something that's really low, you want to do the eyeball test, visit that site. If you are an SEO, then yeah, you can go look at your Ahrefs data, your SEMrush data, see where the backlink, see what the backlinks are like for this particular page in this domain. And I mean, I don't love this page already just because it's popping up with ads. That's always annoying as hell for users. But in any event, we can see that it's not a total junk site. So this is probably something that is something we'd want to get listed on if possible. So this would be a site that we'd reach out to and ask to be listed in this page, because that's going to ultimately help increase our chance of being mentioned by the answer engines. If we go back here, we can see that there's other listicles as well. And again, ideally, you do want to be listed on these kind of pages, but that's what Hoverboard does for you. It surfaces the pages that are most cited so that you can try to get a listing when it makes sense to do so in these sources, because ultimately, if you do, you are going to improve your visibility on the answer engines. Answer engines are consensus engines at the end of the day. If there's multiple sources across the web that are saying that your brand is the best for, whatever category that you're in, then there's a greater likelihood of your brand being recommended by the answer engines when it's providing a response to a user who asks a question of it. So that's one of the great things that you can do with Hoverboard. The other thing you can do is, of course, generate content. We kind of looked at that one earlier where we looked at our content ideas, and we see here's the one that we just added. What are the best concierge medicine practices in San Diego for busy professionals? And I can just hit create, and this is going to insert into the content writer our content title. I can click auto generate keywords. This is going to generate a list of keywords and entities that the tool is going to add into the article. If there's anything that we don't like in here, we can just exit out. And if we want to add anything, then we can do that as well, right? So we can add additional custom instructions to the model. We can add and change the writing style. We'll leave it at professional. We'll leave it at the standard length. And then here I'm going to hit generate articles. Now you can see that there's other information like include brand information, include selling points, add call to action, embed links. I can do all those kind of things if I want to in the article. But for now, I'm just generating the article for the sample and for the case of demoing Hoverboard here in this quick demo. And now we can see that the content has been generated. So that's kind of the big picture overview of Hoverboard. It is, I think, I'm a little bit jaded. I created this thing, but I'm using my 20 years of history of doing search engine optimization and using a lot of those things and combining it and building this tool so that you can do a better job of optimizing either your brand, or if you're an agency or team, you're optimizing your brands and your clients' campaigns for them.